Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going deep on a storyline that's already reshaping the NBA narrative. Luka Dončić in purple and gold, and the question every pundit, bettor, and NBA fan is asking right now. Could Luka win the 2025-26 MVP while wearing a Lakers uniform? I'll walk you through the basketball logic, the context, the matchup advantages and pitfalls, and the kind of season Luka would need to pull it off. This will be analysis first, commentary second, and yes, a little emotional color sprinkled in, because basketball isn't just numbers, it's drama, legacy, and moments that make people cheer at 2 a.m. Let's get into it. Start with the big picture. The league's most visible franchise traded for one of its brightest generational talents mid-season, then promptly locked him into a multi-year extension. That move changes the conversation not just for the Lakers, but for the MVP race as a whole. An MVP candidacy is always a mix of star statistics, team success, and narrative. Luka already checks the first box routinely: elite scoring, elite creation, and an eye-popping ability to control a game's tempo. And playing in Los Angeles gives him the second advantage: visibility. In markets like LA, every big night hits harder on the voters' radar. Put simply, an exceptionally efficient Luka in a winning Lakers season is a brutal MVP combination. But visibility alone won't win it. To be credible, Luka must translate his individual brilliance into a package that meets how MVP voters actually think. Historically, voters reward players who not only post elite box score numbers, but also change the identity of a team, they make teammates better, they lift the record, they dominate the moments that matter. On the stat front, Luka is already elite. Volume scoring while keeping usage at an all-time effective level, elite assist numbers and rebound production that makes him a triple threat. If he sustains a 32 points per game baseline with 8-9 assists and 7-8 rebounds while cutting turnovers and improving defensive engagement, that's the statistical pillar the MVP case needs. In short, Luka's raw tools are MVP caliber. The challenge is turning raw tools into a season-long narrative that voters can point to when filling out ballots. Team success is the other major pillar. MVP voters love when a star propels his team to one of the best records in the conference or the league. For Luka, the Lakers already have the brand, the supporting cast, and a coaching staff that can craft an identity around him. But NBA seasons are marathons, and it only takes a few injury weeks or a prolonged chemistry slump to derail that narrative. So the path to MVP needs to include a clear lift in the Lakers' standing relative to expectations. If Los Angeles goes from contender to best team in the West, or at least finishes with one of the top two records, Luka's case vaults forward. Conversely, if the Lakers are an also-ran, and Luka's numbers come in a vacuum, voters will be tempted to favor slightly less flashy players whose teams finished higher without as many headlines. The margin between MVP and runner-up is often this: excellent numbers on a very good team versus excellent numbers on a merely good team. There's also the subtle art of narrative momentum. Luka's trade to the Lakers is a story that writes itself. Icon moves to iconic franchise. Can he deliver a championship star performance? Narrative matters in MVP voting more than fans sometimes admit. Voters are human, and human minds love arcs, redemption arcs, coronation arcs, new era arcs. If the season contains a string of signature Luka moments, vintage 40-point nights, game-winning orchestration, playoff-type heroics in November and December, the narrative momentum will build. Add to that the emotional magnetism of playing alongside or in the shadow of LeBron James at the tail end of his own historic career, and you're dealing with a storyline that's impossible to ignore. The MVP is as much about what the season felt like as it is about what the season looked like on paper. But let's be clear about the risks. The MVP race is crowded. There are players who will post similarly sensational numbers while also carrying teams with fewer questions about depth or injuries. Historically dominant bigs and scoring guards who stay healthy and lead their teams to top records will always be in the mix. Luka's game, brilliant as it is, comes with turnover risk and defensive scrutiny. Opponents will throw varied schemes at him: off-ball traps, switching coverages, and physical matchups designed to wear him down over a long season. If Luka's efficiency dips because the Lakers' roster construction forces him into ISO-heavy nights without reliable spacing, his counting stats might remain high while his efficiency losses damage the voter perception. So the Lakers front office has to build around him intelligently, shooters who can close out length to mask defensive mismatches, and role players who can relieve pressure during cold shooting stretches. Let's break down the specific, measurable things Luka needs to do this season to be taken seriously as an MVP winner, not just a narrative favorite, but an honest-to-goodness MVP. 1. Sustain elite scoring with improved shooting splits, especially three-point efficiency, so his box score dominance looks efficient. 2. Keep assist numbers high while lowering turnovers. That balance demonstrates both volume and control. 3. Show improved on-ball defense and competitive rebounding numbers that force voters to acknowledge he contributes in the less glamorous areas. And 4. Produce signature wins against other top MVP candidates and carry the Lakers to consistent victories in those matchups. If Luka hits these notes, the stats, team success, and narrative trifecta becomes tangible. Beyond the box score, there's leadership and emotional tenor. Luka's maturity has evolved since his early years in Dallas. He's no longer just a wunderkind scoring machine. He's a team fulcrum who can either simmer or ignite. The Lakers offer him a stage where clutch moments mean more simply because the eyeballs are larger and the consequences are magnified. I want you to imagine a midseason night in Staples Center. Luka drives the lane, throws a no-look assist to a corner shooter for 3, then follows it with a steal and coast-to-coast layup, a microcosm of control, aggression, and basketball IQ. Those sequences build lore. Voters remember lore. Fans remember lore. That's the human side of why playing in LA shifts the MVP calculus. The emotional tenor of those nights, the roar, the surrender breath, the city leaning in, matters. It always has. Now, let's be honest about injuries and minutes management. The NBA season is long and cruel. Luka has had calf issues this past year, and the wear and tear conversation is real. For an MVP campaign, availability is not optional, it's foundational. Missing large chunks of the schedule or missing marquee matchups significantly undercuts voter confidence. The Lakers and Luka will need to strike a balance between maximizing his impact and preserving his body. That's where smart load management, tailored conditioning, and situational rest come in. If the team treats Luka as a statistical machine to be milked for every regular season minute, the long-term MVP case and championship window both suffer. If, on the other hand, they protect him strategically and he shows up for the meaningful stretches, voters will take notice. This season, more than most, the calculus of presence versus rest will feel decisive. Another strategic wrinkle, shot distribution and assist gravity. Luka's best MVP seasons are not the ones where he hoards the ball. They're the ones where his presence creates efficient looks for teammates and forces defenses to choose their poison. If the Lakers can surround him with reliable shooters and cutters who convert at league average or better rates, Luka's assist totals and team offensive rating will look sublime, and voters love advanced metrics. Conversely, if defenses double team him and the Lakers don't have the personnel to punish that attention, Luka's stat line could look gaudy but hollow. So, roster construction and coaching philosophy matter hugely. This is not just Luka's MVP hunt, it's a club-level execution test. We also can't ignore timing. MVP ballots are submitted before the playoffs, so Luka's body of work across the first 75-80 regular season games is what counts. A crescendo, a season that starts hot, cools, then finishes with vintage Luka, is different from a season that builds slowly into a dominant finish. What helps Luka is the LA stage, nationally televised games, primetime showdowns, and a media market that amplifies miracle nights into month-long narratives. But the danger is late season cooling or injury, which compresses the narrative and gives voters reason to split the ballot. An MVP run needs a clear through-line dominance, team lift, and signature wins sprinkled throughout the calendar. Let me zoom out and be blunt. Could Luka win MVP this season? Absolutely. Is it likely? That depends on several dominoes falling in alignment: consistent health, efficient volume scoring, a ladder of team victories that puts the Lakers among the league's elite, and a stream of narrative-defining nights. The ceiling is absurdly high. We're talking about a player with generational playmaking, scoring instincts, and the flair to seize headlines. But the floor is also non-trivial. Missed games, inefficient shooting, or a stagnant supporting cast would make Luka's candidacy raw and vulnerable. This is a high-variance, high-reward scenario, perfect for drama, less so for certainty. Okay, final thought, and this is where the emotion comes through. Basketball doesn't hand out trophies to ideas, it hands them out to memories. An MVP season is as much a memory imprint as it is a statistical ledger. Imagine a season where Luka, in Lakers purple, creates those unforgettable aneurysm-inducing playoff flashes during the regular season. The kind of nights that replay for years on highlight packages and become part of the league's soundtrack. That's the kind of season that becomes canonical in voters' minds. If you want the Short Poets version, Luka in LA is not just a new storyline. It could be the beginning of a chapter that redefines both his legacy and the Lakers' identity. That possibility alone is electric. Feel it. Root for the artistry. Critically appraise the numbers. Either way, it's going to be must-watch TV. Thank you for watching. If you like this breakdown, hit like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments which piece of the MVP puzzle you think Luka needs most this season: health, shooting, or team record. I'll be back with regular updates and deeper dives on specific matchups, so stay tuned. Appreciate you spending your time here. See you in the next episode.